What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD mode interview. Every single week, we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their space. These are people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create amazing, big, epic lives for themselves and for their family, as well as have a big impact on others while they exist. So, you guys, today we have a rock star on the show. I'm really, really stoked and been excited to get on the show for a long time. Last year, so our guest today is a very successful real estate agent in Los Angeles, California. Last year, he did $305 million in gross volume sales. So almost unheard of with that kind of production. So been voted in the top 250 agents out there by the Wall Street Journal, and he's just on fire. So really stoked and honored to have Santiago Arana on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, how are you, everybody? Happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me on your show. Excited to share any of my experiences or any of the things that happen in real estate to lead me where I am right now in my career, which I'm very blessed.
Yeah, man. No, I'm really excited. It's not too often you get to speak to somebody that's doing the production that you're doing, and so really excited to dive in. And I'm also really excited to hear of what you're doing to create so much success today in this extreme sellers market that you're in. You know, so many real estate agents struggle because inventory is so low. They find it so difficult to get listings. When they're representing their buyers, they're always up against multiple offers, and you know, it becomes really it's kind of opposite what you think, but it almost becomes way more challenging than a down market. So really, really excited to dive into that too. But before we get into all this, dude, I'm always interested in our guest backstory that led them to entrepreneurship in the first place. So if you rewind the clocks, whether that's like junior high, high school, whatever, like what led you to becoming an entrepreneur in the first place?
Well, since I was a kid, you know, in high school, I always liked to kind of generate my own income, you know. I remember at the age of 16, organizing New Year's Eve parties and carnival parties back in Bolivia with three of my other friends, and we'll just put together the best parties and make a lot of money for our age and for what we were in our lives, you know. So I got a very good taste of like working hard, being creative, building something, and getting the results, getting whether it was money or whatever it is that we're going after, you know. So at that point, I decided that I really liked that creative business model, and I decided to go and study business administration and marketing. I think marketing has been a passion that I always had, because the way how you present things, I think, is everything, you know. So I went to college and I studied business and marketing. Once I graduated, I was going to do a master's degree in finance. And I moved to the United States to learn English, because the scholarship that I won for the master's degree, it was only taught in English. So and Hebrew, actually, funny enough, and I didn't speak any of the two languages. So in 2003, I moved to LA, to actually Santa Barbara. I had an aunt that let me stay in her couch for 8 months. And I was attending free education at night because I only had $200. And, you know, I started to learn English, and I became a waiter, and I switched from busboy to waiter. And while I was working in Montecito, I saw, you know, a lot of success, a lot of people, a lot of rich guys will come and eat. And he opened up my eyes to much bigger dreams, you know, that I wasn't exposed living in a third world country. So that really, you know, raised my motivation, and I started to figure out, well, you know, that I didn't want to leave. I like it here. I saw that money flying in the air, and I wanted a piece of it. So I tried to figure out what would be the best way to get there, and talking to people and always asking questions. That's something that I will advise anyone, you know. It's like, don't be afraid to ask. If you see someone that is successful, that you see someone that is doing well, just reach out to them. I mean, people love that, you know, be like, what do you do, what you did, how you do it. I mean, always being asking questions, and through asking questions is that someone suggested to me that I should get my real estate license, that I will have very good people skills, and I could apply my, you know, business and college knowledge into that, and I started learning about it. I got my license, and then you got to work your ass off, right?
Yeah, no, I love it, man. So when you decide to make this transition and to get into real estate, you know, we're in an industry where the statistic is like 90% of realtors fail and drop out in the first 3 years. You know, it's a very difficult industry to get that momentum going. What did you do initially early on in your career to create success, to ensure that you didn't become one of those statistics?
Right. You start and you join a company and they tell you what the things you need to do, right? There is the basics that they're going to teach you. So I started at Keller Williams and the basics. So if you read books and they tell you what they are, the ones they've been doing for a long time. You door knock, you cold call, you write letters, you go after expired listings, you go after FISBOs for sale by owner. There's a number of things you can do. There's a number of dialogues and that you can learn and you can practice to go when you knock on the door, what to say and everything. So I was doing all of that, and I wanted to do everything, so I was doing everything. And for the first year, I only sold a $450,000 condo, I remember, and I was very frustrated, because there were people around me that were closing more stuff. And it was 2003, 2004 when the market was very active, and I was like doing nothing. So one day I said, what is it that I'm not doing anything? I don't know anyone. I don't have any friends. I don't have any college buddies. I don't have any relatives. I don't know anyone. So who is going to buy a house from a guy with a very thick accent? So I start to try to think out of the box and say, it's got to be someone, there's got to be a way how to do it. I know that it's not impossible. So I found a mentor. I found someone that actually came from Argentina and moved here, and it went kind of through the same and was killing it. So I reached out to that person, and it was very, persistent. It took me about 4 months to get a hold of the guy. And then I ended up meeting him, and he gave me a few pieces of advice. And the biggest piece of advice that he gave me that I think that I was getting stuck on, I'm doing everything, and nothing is working. So more nothing was coming my way. And he really taught me how to change my attitude and the way how I see things. He recommended a few books. One of them was The Science of Getting Rich, which it talks about everything is about not doing certain things. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's doing certain things in a certain way. And that's basically your attitude of life. If you want to go and have an open house, there's 2 ways you can have an open house. You go to the open house, oh man, I'm tired, I'm going to sit there for 3 hours. You sit in the open house, you don't really prepare the house well. People walk in and you are looking at Instagram and you're like just chilling on the couch, engaging with people. And the way I looked at it is, if I'm going to sit in an open house for 3 hours, I'm going to take advantage of it. So I will go and put my signs at 6 o'clock in the morning, because I wanted everybody that went to the run or everybody that went for breakfast to look at my sign. I didn't want to put it 1 hour before the open house because it's free advertising, So then I'll sit in the open house and I will engage to every single person who would come the best I could. I talked to everybody, I asked for numbers, I asked questions. I did not want to waste my time. I was there 3 hours to meet people because I didn't know people. So the open houses were big for me because I had exposed and had the opportunity to meet people. They actually were looking for houses. So that's really what it helped me in my career, is seeing open houses and meeting people and just talking and changing my attitude, really doing things in that specific way,
So instead of having a broad focus, it's like the saying out there, success isn't done by doing 1,000 things. It's doing only a few things brilliantly thousands of times. So, you kind of drop all those other things that you were doing. You get laser focused just on open houses. When it came to that with your success open houses, a lot of people struggle with them, and I know you talked about really working at being intentional, getting your signs out there. But what were some other tactics that either you started doing or that maybe you still do today that help you get that registered information, develop that connection, and eventually lead to that client?
What I think the most important thing for me personally that has worked the best, and it still does work, and for me to show up in a house, for me to show up in a listing appointment, for me to show up with a client and be 100%, and for me to get Santiago 100%, there's certain things that I need to do in my day and in my personal life, okay? If I'm not satisfied and I'm not feeling that way, I'm not gonna show up 100%. And for me to show up 100%, there's certain things that need to happen. So when I wake up in the morning at 5:30 in the morning, I first meditate. I start with a place of gratitude, and I start thinking of all the things that I have and I'm grateful for. Then I go to the gym, I work out. I think that there is a straight line between health and doing well. So I like to always be healthy. I like to go to the gym, and the gym I don't like to waste my time. So I love doing audiobooks. I cannot read because I fall asleep, but I found the audiobooks being an amazing way to go through books, and so I'm working out at the same time. It's like a university, I'm working out and I'm learning something in books, whether they're self-improvement or real estate books or investor books or anything that I find interesting that can help me grow. Once I'm done with that, I need to go to my house. I need to have breakfast with my kids and my wife. I need to take them to school. So, because it's also me being a successful dad makes me feel good about myself. I love doing that. And once I'm done with all that, I shower and I'm ready to go to work, So if you start from a place of abundance, of gratitude, and you're healthy and you feel good, you get out of the shower, you look at yourself, what's going to happen is when you go to that meeting, when you go to that listing appointment and you walk in that room, they're going to be 5 people or 3 people that walked in that room before you. And I can guarantee you, every time I walk in those rooms, none of those people brought the energy that I bring into that house. And people read energy. And when they feel that you are healthy, that you're good, that you're positive, that you're coming with that, they feel attracted to working with you. And that's, to me, the most important thing.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. And Tony Robbins talks about it a lot, but he says, it's all about winning the day. Like, the only way you're going to hit your goals is to win each and every day. And then it makes sense to put yourself in the best mental and physiological state to be and operate at your best self. And couldn't agree more, man. So I just want to kind of rewind the clocks for a second. When it came to your mentor, reaching out to your mentor, because I love that you said, it took like 4 months to even get a hold of him, right? Because, so many people are trying to reach up for mentors, but they don't take that same aggressive approach like they might trying to find a client or whatever it may be. But when you're reaching out to somebody that's massively successful, that's a multimillionaire, that's busy as hell, kind of walk us through what that was like and how you had success. I know you said it took 4 months, but how do you get somebody like that their time may be worth several $1,000s an hour to sit down with you to be able to get that advice from them?
So I moved to LA from Santa Barbara because I thought there'd be more opportunities. It's a bigger city, more houses, more everything, So, but I still working in a restaurant because I needed cash to survive. So when I found out about this guy, I sent emails, I called, and I got no response. I talked to some of the assistants and they were like, yeah, we're going to let him know. He's going to call you back. And I never got the call. But I was persistent, but you need to be also careful, right? You don't want to be annoying, So the way I was reaching out to him and what I was telling him wasn't like, it was very clear. It was like, I only need a piece of advice. That's all. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not going to take a lot of your time. A brief description of who I am, where I come from, and I sent an email and I made a call, and then I waited a week and I sent another email and I sent a call and I did another call, and I was doing that probably every 10-15 days for about 3-4 months, to the point that I finally got a call. One day I was going to work at a restaurant. I remember I was just 2 minutes from that restaurant and I get a call and one of the assistants says, you wanted to meet with Mr. Iglesias? And I'm like, yes. It's like, well, he can meet you in 30 minutes. So I was like, done. I called the restaurant sick, head the other way on the other side of town, sat waiting for him, waited for 2 hours, he didn't show up. So, most people give up at that point, or maybe earlier, some people just make 2 calls, 1 email, and they're out. I knew that I needed to talk to someone that is going through what I'm going through, because if not, I don't think I stand a chance. I didn't have the contacts to make it happen. So I need to find out how. So I was, I made in my mind that I was going to meet with him and I'm going to make it happen. And when I was at the restaurant sitting, it's almost like you release that energy on those thoughts out there and something hears you. And I was getting really upset because I didn't even have the money to pay for what I was eating at that place. And then I said, you know what? Don't get upset. This is a test. Don't worry about it. Finish your food and leave, and something's going to happen. Sure enough, immediately I get a phone call from the guy. He's uber apologetic. He says, I'm so sorry. To be honest, I forgot. But I want to make it up to you. Let me buy you lunch tomorrow. So the next day I came back at the same place. He bought me lunch. We hit it off. He started by saying, I don't need people in my team. I have a big team. I don't need anyone. I don't need this. And I said, listen, I just want advice. I started speaking Spanish with him, which he found cool. And we communicated. He gave me a book. He gave me a couple pieces of advice. And I went and applied. And I think what's important is the follow up, right? Because if someone gives you advice and you don't let them know that the advice worked, then they don't want to give you more advice. So what I did is I used it. I got a listing and uber excited. The first person I called was him. And I said, thank you so much. Your advice was great. I got a new listing. I'm super happy. I want to share it with you. Can I buy you a drink? So then now I'm sitting with him having a drink. Now he gives me more tips. And then I get a call for a big listing. What it was at the time for me huge. It was 1.8 million. I was like, holy shit, I want to do this. So I called him and I said, would you mind coming with me to this appointment and let's just split it 50-50 because I want to make sure I get it and I don't have the experience to get it. So we go together, we get it, we sell it. Then I get a call from a $5 million appointment and I call him back. So all of a sudden the guy is like, well, guys, this guy's cool, man. He's bringing me listings. He's making it happen. He's grateful. He calls me every time. And he finally said, why don't you come and work here at Sotheby's with me? And let's work, close to each other and I'll help you out and whatever. So, it took that. It took making the decision that it was going to happen. And that's what it changed the whole energy.
Yeah, I love that, man. So, all right, so you've got that great advice. You've got your mentor now, and you're going out there and creating more success. Kind of walk us through, though, how do you go from that to, if we fast forward to what you're doing today? Because I think you've been in real estate, about 13 years now. $305 million in production. That's more than most agents do in a 30 or 40 year career, and you're doing that in one single year. So is it still been that same focus with open houses and just building those relationships and going deep with open houses, and then you got a relationship with past clients, or do you start adding other forms of marketing? How do you take it to that next level?
Yeah, so to answer the question, yes, I still sit on my open houses. People think like probably he doesn't sit open houses anymore, but I'm there. Sundays, not every Sunday, but at least 2 or 3 Sundays out of the month, I'm there. And the reason why I'm there is because I actually enjoy it. I love meeting new people. For me to sit in an open house, I'm for sure meeting a buyer or a seller at minimum. Someone's going to walk in that door and is looking for a property and they're not represented, I'm going to sell them something for sure. Because it's not just also, I don't want to be misunderstood. It's not just being positive, wake up, work out, be healthy, feel good about yourself and go out there. You need to know your market. You need to be prepared. You need to know what's on the market, what is not on the market, what are the pocket listings, and you need to know every single house that is around it. Because what happened to me is when people walked to my open houses, I had the knowledge and people came. I remember a family from England one time walked in and they looked at the house. It was a $10 million house. I was holding an open house on Memorial Weekend, and it was the only open house open in the entire city, I think. So I was in Beverly Hills, and this family literally walked from England, and they walked to me, and I looked at them, and I knew that they're not going to buy the house. The house wasn't for them. And I looked at the wife, and I said, this house is not for you, but what are you looking for? And she's like, how do you know? I was like, I just know this house is not for you. Is it? And she said, no. And I said, but what are you looking for? And she described what she wanted and the budget that he had. And I mentioned 2 houses to them. And the next day I sold them one of the houses for like $8.5 million. And they closed in cash in 5 days. And they became very good clients. And the husband called me one day and he said, I want just to know why is that we decided to buy with you, because we know a lot of agents in LA. You were the only guy that had signs in the city. And we walked into your open house and you actually knew exactly where the property would be after we described it to you. And we went and we bought it. So you got to be prepared for that. So yes, I still see my open houses, and I'm going to quote Tony Robbins, which by the way, I'm a big fan and I go to all his seminars and everything. He's great. Massive amount of action. You need to, kind of believe in something and know that you're going to go and get it and have faith. And I'm going to acknowledge there is some grace in there, or call it luck, or call it destiny, whatever it is. There is some amount of grace in there. And that the grace, everybody has it, but you need to activate it by having faith. And one of the things that I also, speak a lot in my seminars that I relate a lot to what Tony says is you cannot be fearful and have faith at the same time. It's one or the other one. You cannot say, I have faith that I'm going to make this happen, and then be nervous that what if it doesn't happen? It doesn't work that way. It's like either going to happen or it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah. It goes back to, and I don't know if there's like any data to back this, but I heard at one point the mind cannot occupy a negative thought and a positive thought at the same time, and it just makes sense and totally.
Right. Yeah, and positive thoughts are way more positive, more powerful than negative thoughts. That's for sure. I mean, you just try to, you need to try to make yourself be in that, and it becomes a lifestyle. You catch yourself judging or being negative or whatever. You need to catch yourself and kind of go back. And obviously, you live 20 years of your life not knowing that. You're not gonna pretend that you're gonna change and unwind your way of thinking in one day. It takes time, but if you train yourself, then it becomes a lifestyle. It's the way how you live your life. And to answer to really your question on how you get to sell 300 plus million a year, how you make that jump, is I believe that it's working hard and being open to opportunities and being open to anything. One of the things, don't sell yourself short. I always said I'm gonna be listing 20-50 million dollar houses, and I know people for a fact that they just think that that's impossible. One of the things that I remember thinking when I was in 2008, when the market hit us pretty bad, 2008, 2009, everybody was fleeting. Everybody was changing careers, leaving the real estate and everything. And I sat one day and I said, so-and-so are killing it. There's no reason why I shouldn't be doing the same. I mean, if one person is able to do that, I can do it too. And my building really exploded when the market was on the floor. Because when everybody was fleeing, I was sitting actually Saturdays and Sundays. I want to be in everybody's face. I was putting signs everywhere. And when everybody stopped advertising in the paper and everything because it was expensive and you need to cut your expenses, I was actually investing the money because I wanted to be one of the few in the paper.
Yep, love it, man. So earlier you said when you decided to go to school for marketing, you made a quote, marketing. How you present yourself is everything, right?
Yes.
So in real estate, a lot of realtors think, okay, marketing means how I market my properties, but at the end of the day, your name, your face, I mean, you are your brand, you are your business. So you got to market yourself in a certain way as well as your properties. I mean, how important has been marketing your own self? And what have you done to market your own self to develop this massive, massive brand and really become the go-to guy in your area?
So I think that it has to do, you need to think about and put yourself in a place of, if you were a buyer, if you were a seller, and you inviting people to your house, how would you like that person to present themselves? Would you like a guy that's going to be dressed in a certain way? A guy is going to be in a suit? Is it going to be a guy? And I think in the business of real estate, you need to have a little bit of a chameleon ability, right? Because not everybody is the same. If you're going to go to meet an older couple, conservative, you're not going to show up with with your cut off jeans and whatever, or a baseball hat. So, but if you're going to go meet a rock star to sell their house, you might want to go a little bit edgy so the guy relates to you, So I take it in a case by case, always be presentable, clean. Again, you're doing business, you're as much as you might want to dress certain way, you're working, you're doing business. People want to see that you're taking it seriously. And when people don't dress in a way that people, I think, find it serious, then you lose that, So save your craziness for the weekends or when you go out with your friends. I remember I met with a guy that is doing amazing actually right now. He called me about 4 years ago that he wanted advice. And when I have the time and I try to make the best, I went and met for a coffee at the Starbucks with him, and I start talking to him, and the guy is like fired up, and he's got all the right attitude and everything. But he's got these dreadlocks, and it's like his hair is like this. And I just look at him and I said, listen, I don't want to offend you, insult or anything, but dude, if you want to do everything that you're telling me that you want to do, you need to go and get a haircut. And he was shocked. He was like, what? I'm like, yes, you got to get a haircut. He's like, why? I'm like, just do it. And then I explain to you why. So he did it, and he called me and he said, you were right. I mean, I didn't realize how much people were turning me down, judging me because my hair, they thought I was dirty or they thought I was in a certain way. But since I cut my hair, I mean, literally I walk in those appointments and I can feel that people look at me in a different way. So I think that presenting yourself is very important, being clean, not over the top. You don't want to also be over the top. You don't want to show up at a client's house looking that you have more money than them, It's like, you need to be settled. You need to, you just gotta go by who you're meeting.
Yeah, it's the saying out there, don't judge a book by its cover, but the reality is with human beings, we're all wired to judge. Everybody prejudges, and we just have to understand that.
First thing you do is you look, your eyes engage first. You look, you see, and then automatically you make an assumption of what that person can be, which unfortunately is not always right, but that's the way it works, and if you're going to be doing business, you need to present yourself as somehow serious person that is there to work.
Yeah, love it, man. So you've been through, in your career, you've been through the extremes with markets, right? Bottom falling out, hardcore buyer's market, which really catapulted your career to the next level. But then now you're also in this extreme seller's market, and you continue just expanding and growing your business. So let's first talk about the buyer's market. What were some of the things, I know you talked about taking more action with your open houses, but what were some of those other things that maybe you did that really set yourself apart, that really catapulted your business in that downturn market?
On the downturn market was, again, doing more work as opposed to less, and spending more money as opposed to less. Doing the opposite. It's like when the stock market, people tend to sell everything when the market's going down. You should be buying everything when the market goes down. It's the same thing. And if all the realtors are going out of business and they're not spending money, guess what happens? If you open the paper, instead of having 100 faces there, you're going to have 10. You want to be one of the 10. If they're going to be if the market's low and they're going to be more depressed and they don't want to be wanting to see open houses, because that's what happens. I want to do open houses Saturday and Sunday, both days. I want to meet with more people. You just want to be the guy out there that is working harder on those times, because when the time comes back, you're going to go, it's like surfing, you need to wait for the time, but you need to swim and swim and swim and swim. And when the right wave comes, you just going to go that much farther.
Yep. So then let's fast forward to what the market is today. Right? Because again, and kind of like I said in the intro, so many real estate agents struggle so heavily in a hardcore extreme seller's market. Because again, it's very hard to get listings and get that inventory. And then when you have buyers, which may be easier to go out there and get buyers potentially, or not, but then you got multiple offers on every single property. And what are you doing out there to go out there and get inventory when inventory is so tight, and also on the flip side of that, get your buyers' offers accepted when it's so insanely competitive?
One of the things that I learned very early in my career is that having the listings is power. You want to have listings because having buyers is great, but when you sell something to a buyer, you don't really can advertise as much as you can advertise when you sell something that you represent as a listing. When you have a listing, you'll get the phone calls. When you have a listing, you have an excuse to advertise. You can put signs out there. There's a lot more that you do by having the listings. People come to you. You'll get the phone calls from the direct buyers. You get the phone calls from the other agents wanting to show it. So I really always focus, and I'm considered to be a 70% listing agent, 30% buyer, and the buyers just come by default after, and they're clients that you just want to service them because you sold their house, you need to move them somewhere else. But I always search for listings because having listings gives you, stuff to do. In the high market, like right now, having listings is the power. I look at my list and I have a minimum of 12 to 15 listings at all time. So I'm busy. I'm advertising. My name is everywhere. I have signs. I'm seeing open houses. I'm generating more business. So I would think that in the high market, you want to be one of those listing agents to capitalize on everything because they're going to call you. So when the market is hot, like right now, that everybody wants to buy in LA, you're getting phone calls from international, you're getting phone calls from developers that they want you to find them something because they cannot find it because the inventory is so low. You get those phone calls.
Yep. So when it comes to because it's difficult to go out there and get those listings, right? Because it's very competitive. Everybody's trying to attack it, especially in your market. It's a saturated market with a lot of realtors and a lot of producers too. Right? So how do you go out there? What does a day look like for you when it comes to your prospecting efforts? I know you're doing open houses, but when it comes to those prospecting efforts and following up, what type of actions are you taking to come out victorious on those?
But two things. I don't know. At the stage where I am right now, I do still prospect, but I do it in a different way, and it's more sporadic. It's open houses when I'm sitting on it, but mostly is when I'm out, I'm meeting people, I'm in certain events or certain places, referrals. So, I got a point where it just comes my way. I think more fair for whoever is listening right now that is not at this stage yet and they want to capitalize on that. It would be, what did I do to get to that point? And what I did is, trying to get as many appointments as possible. And all I always ask to people is like, just get me in the door. You just get me in the door and let me present to you, and then you make a decision after that. And I think that is very important when you have 1, 2, or 3 listings, okay? And you have them and you need to use the momentum. Because the perception out there to the world comes with a little bit of a delay. You have 3 listings, you need to set your postcards, you need to do the advertising, you need to do everything. To e-blast now is huge, social media, to get people out there to be like, oh my God. So instead of sending 1 email, let's say, and say I got 3 new listings, send 3 emails. Send 1 today, send 1 next week, and send 1 the week after. So what's gonna happen is your contacts in your database, which by the way is one of the most important things, is you need to build up a database. The more contacts you have, the better. So that when you send in 3 emails in 3 different weeks, if I'm sitting here and I say an email from Michael, I'm like, oh, Michael got a new listing. Next week, oh, Michael got another listing. Oh, Michael got another listing, as opposed to 1 email. So you just kind of have to think, how can you touch people without being annoying and get them to believe, oh my God, this guy is killing it, right? Select an area that you like, do the postcards there. So then they open their mail and it's like, this guy again. Sunday open house. Oh, look, we're going to have a Starbucks at 7 in the morning, and there's that freaking sign from that guy. I got people come to me in 2010 and 11 to my open house. I'll be like, we were wondering who that annoying guy that is everywhere, literally. And I was like, great, I want to be that annoying guy. I want to annoy you so that when you think real estate, you think about me.
Yeah, love it, man. Love it, dude. Yeah, and you're so right. It's not reality when it comes to marketing. It's that perception of reality that really matters, and it's so critical. So then when it comes to and I know you only do 30% of your business right now as buyers on the buy side, but what do you guys do to go out there? Because, I mean, in these markets, man, it's probably not uncommon to go out there and see 5, 10 plus offers on a property. How do you go out there and kind of position your buyers differently to have success on that side?
When I'm representing a buyer and we're in a multiple situation.
Correct. Yep.
Multiple offers. Yeah. So again, very important, and I say this all the time, relationships, right? When you meet a buyer or you meet a client, don't just treat them like the guy's going to buy a house. You need to get to know them. You need to get to know their personality. I mean, if you know the person and you know what they like, I analyze everything. I meet people and I know how they're going to react if I tell them that their offer wasn't accepted in one way, or if I tell them another way. So you need to kind of read people, get to understand your clients and know what they're about. You need to have good relationships with other brokers. It's as important, because when the time comes that you're in multiple offers and they have 5, 6, 10 offers on a property, if you have a good relationship with a listing broker, they'll take you long ways. Not saying that they will favor someone, but they certainly will want to deal with you. They will want to give you information. They will want to help you out, give you hints, lead you in the property maybe. So I'll give you an example. I had these clients that I was working for, I think, 1.5 years. We looked at everything. We made offers on properties and we lost like 3 times on the perfect homes for them. And the reason why we lost is because they always wanted to try to get a better deal. And you have to be honest, but at the same time, you cannot push. And you cannot be desperate to close the next deal, because when people feel that you're desperate, you just want to close the next deal and goodbye and put the money or check in your pocket, then they go away. They're going to want to work with someone else. So we went to the first house. I told them to write a certain number. I think it was 13.7, the asking price. I told him to write at 12.5. The guy wanted to write at 11.2. I got him into the house before it went on the market. So the seller said, I'm not ready to sell at that number. Went on the market. As soon as he hit the market, they get 3 offers. And the seller was offended on the offer that we made it before. Now, and that this kind of shows you how sensitive pricing is right now due to technology, right? People understand what prices are. So they got offended. And they got 3 other offers, and the 3 other, go back a little bit. The property was there sitting on the market for a couple of months. So then they reduced the price to 12.9. So I was saying that 12.5 wasn't that bad. Or 11.5 wasn't that bad. They got 3 other offers. The 3 other offers came between 11 and 12. Same as what we are. So we resubmitted our offer, and the seller chose to respond to everybody except us because he's still scarred by the fact that we lowballed him originally, even though we are the same number as everybody else. And the property ended up selling for 12 and a half, the exact number that I told them that they should go. And they would have got it. They wouldn't have to compete with anything. So once that happened, I sat down with them and I said, listen, I'm not trying to push you to do anything, but if you want to work with me, you need to trust my advice because this is what I do, and you need to speak with clients with property and confidence, because if you don't do that, I mean, if you go to a dentist and the dentist is kind of like, well, maybe I'll do that, but I don't know. And if it gets a little difficult, I'm just I don't know. I don't want that guy to touch my mouth, right? But if you go to a dentist, it's exactly what you need to do. This is what, and you believe that the guy is a pro, just open your mouth and you let the guy do whatever, right? Even though you're not looking. So the next time that something came on the market that was really good, I called them. I said, this is it. And I called the agent to make an appointment to get in. And she said, we're not letting anyone in. It was a Wednesday until Tuesday next week, because normally that's what they do here, at least in California when the market's hot. So the reason why they do that is because they want to have full exposure to everybody in the market as opposed to one person. So I said, fine. On Tuesday, what tips can you give me? What do you think that we can do? She's like, listen, just come on Tuesday, look at the property, and then we're going to look at offers 1 week after that. So what I called my clients and I said, this is what we're going to do. You need to get your 2 daughters, your wife, and yourself. The open house is at 11. We're going to be there at 10:50. We're going to be at 10:50 because I want you, me, and your daughters, everybody is standing in the front of that house when the owner of the house is leaving. So they see you. So they open the gate and the owners leave in their car and they see us just standing there waiting for the open house. We go and look at the house. They love it. They want it. We leave and they say, how can we get it? We cannot afford to lose a 4th house. And I'm like, don't worry, we're going to work it out. I called the agent and I said, listen, you asking, I remember I did a thing with Wall Street Journal about this specific case study too. I think they were asking 7.2. And I said, what is that your clients will take right now without having to wait until next week? And she's like, no, it's a trust sale. The dad and the mom died. There are 3 kids. They need to go there. I said, listen, just call them. Do me a favor. Just call them and ask them, what is the number that they're going to make him sell the property right now? It's all cash. There's no inspections. There's no contingencies. They're going to, whatever. And she comes back and she's like, I can't believe it. I thought they wouldn't do it. But they say if you go to 7,850 or 7,890, I don't remember what it was, which was $700,000 more than they're asking, they will sign that. And there's a lot of people that are going to be upset with me, but I need to do what my client wants to do. So I said, fine. So I went back to my client and said, you're going to write this. I'm going to write a nice letter. And you're going to, I found out to the agent that the family lived there and their kids were born there, that now they're selling the property and they live their entire lives in that house. It was very important for them. So I can let my clients who are going to build their dream house, I wanted them to know that. It's our dream house. We want to build it with our kids. We want them to grow here. And we want them to have the same feeling that you guys had when your parents bought this house and you grew up in this house. So when we send the letter, we send the offer, and the people saw a picture of the family and remember that we were standing. They accepted the offer and they called back and say, we love the fact that they love the house so much. They were waiting outside in the front before we were even open. So, you kind of just have to be creative and think about, if I'm the seller, if I'm emotionally attached, my parents just died, I grew up in this house, what is going to go, farther? It's not just money. Sometimes there's other things. So you need to just kind of make a package and present it that way.
Yep. No, I love that, man. That's awesome. So you talked about building a database and having that CRM, because it's, you're doing all these open houses, and you might meet some clients right then and there, but as the saying is in sales, the fortune's in the follow-up. So what does that look like? What maybe systems, some of the sample of systems that you're using, that you utilize, and how are you guys using those systems to follow up after the fact, to go out there and get that client after the fact?
Right. So yes, we do have a very elaborated system. I mean, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm one of the owners of the agency. So when we created the company, we wanted to, with my 2 partners, we wanted to have a system that will facilitate and help agents in everything, from the emails to the database to following up with people with everything. You have a lot of systems like top producers, this, that, blah, 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 whatever. We develop a CRM system in-house that we use Salesforce for platform. and it's unbelievable. But I think that more helpful for everybody that is listening right now. I use Outlook. I use my system in-house, but I've been using Outlook for a long time, and I have a server. So every time that I put a contact in my iPhone, it's on my computer, it's in my laptop, it's in my iPad, and it's in my assistant's computer. So if I lose my phone, I can just download everything in there with a server, right? If I get out of a meeting and someone called my office and made an appointment that I need to go after, all I have to do is look at my calendar and I see that my assistant has already put a new appointment and that's where I need to go. So you're just gonna have to find something that works for you. I found that Outlook worked for me and I still use it. I use both that and the in-house system that we call the Agency Connect. But I mean, you just have to put, if you go to an open house and you have a sign-in sheet and you met 10 people in that open house and 4 of them put their email addresses and their phone numbers, the first thing you do is you go back to your office on Monday morning and you input all those in your Outlook contacts and you either categorize them by groups or you just put a little note and notes, tall guy with the kids that came and they're looking for XXXX. So then you can search and look, and when you're like, oh, I remember that guy, this house would be perfect for him. So then I'm like, what was the guy? I was like, oh, the tall guy. So I put in search tall guy and it pops the guy and I call him. I was like, I think I found a house for you. So you just got to build up a database because that's all you have, right? I mean, every time you advertise, or every time you throw an e-blast for a new listing or something, if you have 500 people in your database, well, 500 eyes are going to see it. If you have 10,000 people in your database, and therefore 10,000 people are going to see it, and they're going to talk to more people,
Yep. Love it, man. So, there's like this stigma inside the real estate industry that open houses are for new agents, right? Only new agents. And they kind of get to a point where they feel that they're beyond that. And one commonality that I've seen here on the podcast with every top producer, 100 million plus a year producer is, man, they built their businesses on open houses. What percentage, I know now you've got a lot of referrals coming in, but as far as new business that's coming in, just because I want those that are watching and listening to kind of put this whole open houses are only for new agents to rest here, what percentage of your new business that's coming in would you say, and over your career, would you say is attributed from your open houses?
Oh gosh, man. I mean, if I have to pick a random number that I would attribute to seating open houses in my business, I would say I probably build my business around open houses. I mean, big percentage. I would say, like, even now, I mean, it's got to be 50% of the leads that I bring that they are not repeated clients or referrals or anything. Any new client or any new business that I do is got to be probably 50% by seating an open house. I'm telling you, if I'm seating an open house, I'm going to pick up someone, whether it's a buyer or a seller or a lead to a potential seller listing or something. So you cannot not seat open houses. I mean, listen, I would love to take every Sunday off and be doing a lot of stuff. And now at this point, I do take more flexibility, right? Before I was sitting every Sunday. Now I do sit, 2 Sundays a month. And sometimes when I feel it, I do 3. And then I take one off for my family or so on forth. But you got to sit open houses. You cannot stop sitting open houses. I mean, even if you do well, and if I was to stop sitting open houses, I mean, I will be fine. But why you leave money on the table?
Right.
I mean, open houses is just, is gold mine for me. Yep.
Love it, man. So, when it comes to there's I don't know if it's it's been stated, and it's constantly stated out there in some of the stats about why businesses fail. 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 5 years. Years 6 to 10, 80% of those that made it in the first 5 years end up failing. And they always say that it's things like lack of capitalization, and it seems to me it's more lack of the amount of action and effort that the entrepreneur was willing to take or prepared to take to go out there and create the success. So kind of walk us through, man, of what kind of action it took to go out there and build this business, and what kind of action it still takes today to continue growing at the level that you're at.
Now that they're more exposed with very high-profile clients, I have clients that are like the CEOs of the top companies in the country or in the world. I'm dealing with business managers, big, producers, movie stars. I mean, the more I get exposed to big people, I still ask questions. I still look and ask questions, and I'm like, what did it take? How do you do that? I'm always very curious. And one client told me, unfortunately, I can't disclose who it is or what he does or anything, because I'm under. I think I have more NDAs than underwear. But the one thing that really got stuck in my head is like, everybody has good ideas. Everybody, I mean, now is the day of the apps, for example. Everybody says, oh, they should do an app about this. And they're all great ideas, okay? Everybody can come up with a good idea. Everybody can find the resources or the loan or the money to get that done. But when most people drop the ball, it's execution. And every time I talk to realtors in seminars that I talk and everything, they always raise their hand and they're like, what is the secret? I'll tell you what the secret is, okay? The secret is massive amount of action. The secret is executing, is I'm gonna do this and do it. Don't say you're gonna do it and not do it. Because what happens is, if you say you're gonna go door knocking and you're gonna do 50 doors and you do 30 and you give up, there is a under message in your subconscious mind that you already failed. But if you do 50 and it's hard and it was a pain in the ass and a dog almost beat you and someone slammed the door in your face and you go through that process and you do the 50 doors, when you go and sit in your car, that same underlying message, its subconscious mind is going to say, you did it, right? So it's the action. And I tell them, I say, like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I did. And I can guarantee you that out of the 200 people that are sitting here right now, if I was to ask you a year from now who actually did exactly what I'm going to tell you, there's not going to be more than 5 people, and out of these 200, they're going to get up and say, I did that. And those 5 are going to be doing amazing.
Yep. Awesome, man. So then at what point in your career, because you've got this very successful residential real estate business as a real estate agent, but now in addition to that, you're one of the owners of an extremely successful real estate brokerage out there. At what point did you make that decision, or did it come up to you that was the next evolutionary step for you?
I again, that's my entrepreneurial, mind. I like owning things. I believe that listen, I even coming back from London, where the amount of sales they do there, and then the amounts, the hundreds of millions of pounds that they sell over there. You buy a condo for 45 million pounds. They make us look cheap. Talking to top agents there, I'm friends with like #1 agents in London, and they don't have the ability to do what we do here. It's much harder. Is way more competitive. They don't have the tools. They don't have an MLS. They don't have a thing that they can go and look at a list of properties. It's all on calls. It's all on knowing people. Most of them, they just are able to sell what their own inventory is. They have 10 houses, and that's what they need to move through their own buyers, and that's how it works. So even though we have the ability to create an amazing business here for what we do, I'm always thinking like, well, what else is out there? What else can I get involved? If I can own a piece of a restaurant, I'll love to do that. Why not? I think that one of the things that I like doing is diversifying, because if one thing doesn't go well, you be by doing good in another thing, and you just kind of want to do that. So I develop homes too. So I'm building 2 houses right now. So that's one way, one little pocket. I do what I do right now, which is kind of correlated, right? I develop homes. I know where to get good deals and what properties to buy, to tear down, and what areas. And I know when I'm finished the house, who's going to be my competition if there's a lot of inventory. So because I understand that, I invested on a business that is related to what I do because I get it. And so, owning a company, a real estate company, it gives you it's more like a long-term investment, right? #1, I love people. I love helping people. So we wanted to build a company that is different. We felt, Mauricio and Billy really started the company, and I came a year after. And when they approached me, the things that they told me that they wanted to do, they really, really made a lot of sense. It's like people are doing real estate in other companies is archaic. They're selling homes the same way that they were selling homes to their grandparents, And, we even have some advertising that we're working on where you have 2 pictures, right? There is like the old real estate company, and you see a desk with a phone book, a dial phone, a bunch of papers, rulers, lock boxes, all the things that from the past, right? And then you have a real estate company from the past, and then you go to the page next to it, and there is a clean desk, an iPhone, the agency, right? And that's what it's about. It's like you gotta change. I mean, the world's not the same, so you gotta use technology. You gotta use, what other companies are using. I mean, the yacht companies are not selling yachts the same way they sold before. They have different ways how to do it. They do target marketing. No real estate company out there does target marketing. We do. We know how to target market. So I think that you need to be on top of everything. So being part of something that was different and growing a company and have the ability to, in the future, have equity shares of that company that you want to keep, you want to sell or whatever is very interesting to me.
Yeah, one thing I love about the agency, right, is a lot of the marketing that you guys do, especially with your video content that you put out there, it's entertaining to the point where even if you're not in real estate, or even if you're not looking to buy or sell a house, man, you're watching the content, right? I mean, you guys are doing just a brilliant job at thinking out of the box to get those eyeballs on you.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, we don't consider ourselves to be just a brokerage. We consider ourselves to be curators of lifestyle. The art shows that we throw, the cars that we bring to houses, the vacation rentals, everything is related. The person that buys that house in Bel Air, buys the Lamborghini, goes on vacation to Cabo, hangs out buying art in the art show. I mean, everything is related. And if you are the person or the brokerage or the agent that is in all those places, now that person finds something in common with you.
Yep, love it, man. So when it comes to you personally, man, because I mean you're a guy. I know you walked us through your morning routine, but you're a guy that takes care of yourself, takes care of your self-development, takes care of your body and your health. Is intentional about being present as far as a husband and a father, and there with your family. And then you've got all these other businesses, dude. How do you keep it together? Most people can't keep together one job. You know what I mean? Like, what do you do to stay so structured and make sure that you're not dropping the ball in one of these areas?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be organized and you have to have balance. And I think perhaps the way how I keep it together is because I do all those things, right? I eat healthy, I exercise, I feel good about myself. That allows me to perform better, right? If I go out drinking tonight and I need to show up tomorrow to a 9:00 meeting, I'm not going to show up in the way I am because I'm going to wake up late. I'm not going to go to the gym. My kids are going to be going to school and I'm going to be feeling like shit. And then when I show up to that appointment, I'm not going to be me 100%, and I might not get that listing. So the fact that you actually do all those things, that you organize yourself, okay? You do this, and this. You have a schedule. You organize yourself, and sometimes you need to block your schedule because there's time for you alone and time to take your time alone, and that's as important. I mean, if you disappear for 2 hours, the world's not going to end. And sometimes it's good to be away. You just take off, right? It's balance. I think it's just balance. And then the other thing is time management. I mean, there is a lot of listings or a lot of things that I just don't take because they are going to take a lot of time and they're just not, sellers are not realistic. The properties that are not going to sell is a waste of time. So it's really selecting what do I want to put my focus on my time? What's going to come out of this, and this? And if this is going to waste my time, if that meeting is going to be a waste of time, you become a little bit more cold and selective, and as opposed to be wanting to meet everybody because you're a nice guy. It's like, okay, well, I need to really select what appointments I'm gonna be on and where I'm gonna show up, where I don't need to show up, and just kind of organize yourself.
So how do you, I get the case of, hey, if I go on this listing appointment and they're just extremely unrealistic and I know it's going to be a waste of time, but what are some other things that you do, because I mean, it comes to a point where, especially at the success level you're at, where I'm sure you're pitched amazing opportunities every single day, or potentially amazing opportunities, but you can't say yes to everything. You probably say no exponentially more times than you say yes. What's kind of like your internal gauge? That way you know what to say yes to and what to say no to.
I go a lot by gut. I mean, I really trust my gut feeling, and I think everybody should do. Campbell say, "Follow your bliss," right? I mean, those were brilliant words. You just need to. If you are in tune with yourself, you can listen to your higher self. Okay, at least that's what I believe. So there are opportunities they come, and I had a great opportunity to invest on something last year, and for weeks I couldn't do it because I was committed to too many things. And I said, you know what, I want to do it, but if I do it, it might generate a stress. It might put me in a place that I don't want to be. So it's okay to let go of that one opportunity because I already taken these two other opportunities that are also great, and you cannot have it all. And you need to be okay with it. Same way that when you go by your day, right? You wake up, you do the best you can, you make a killing. Whatever you go at 6 or 7 o'clock, your day ends, and you're going home and you're driving. What I do always is, you know what? Whatever happened today, I did my best. I did 100%. What a great day. I feel good about it. And you finish the day that way. Because if you don't finish, you don't have a closure every day. Then you go to the next day feeling that you left something open, and it just becomes like a snowball. You know, it's like you feel like you're not getting stuff done. But you need to feel good about what you do. You only can do what you can do.
Yep, love it, man. So you talked earlier about being a big fan of Tony Robbins and going to every Tony Robbins seminar that you possibly can, and I mean, with that, with your overall self development, I mean, how important is self development to you, to your life, to your success, and what does that look like on a daily or weekly basis for you?
Well, it is the most important thing. You know, the day that you stop growing, I mean, you're dying. You start dying. You know, I mean, to me, it's the most important thing. That's the reason why I exercise, because I want to feel good about it. The reason why I do the audiobooks every day, and I've gone through 6 books since January already, is because I want to learn new things, right? I want to learn new technologies. I want to know what's happening out there. I want to learn from successful people that they've done it already. I want to hear their story. Out of everybody's story, you can learn a little bit something, you know? And it's not huge changes you need to do in your life unless you're in a very bad place and you need to snap out of it and make a huge change. Normally, when you're in a good place, you want to make changes, and little changes that you do that in the long term takes you, really, really different places,
Yeah, awesome, man. So if you could go back in time and give your your younger self, let's just say right when you moved to LA, if you could go back knowing everything that you know right now, and you could go back to that point and give yourself 2 pieces of advice, what would that look like, and what would that be?
I think everybody would love to have that opportunity, right? But I feel very blessed, and I always tell people, my next life, I want to be me again, and that's the way I live. And I believe that if I haven't gone through what I've gone, and if I wouldn't make the mistakes that I made, if I wouldn't, done that, I probably wouldn't be where I am. So I can think of something that will tell myself, other than there were times where maybe I needed, because I was alone here and I didn't have that, relative, friend, family, or dad here next to me to support me. I would go back to myself and pat myself a little bit and be like, don't be so hard, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. When you reflect back on it, man, I mean, did you, when you were sitting there living with your family member with $200 to your name, I mean, when you reflect back on this, man, at that point, did you really kind of see yourself where you are right now?
I mean, listen, both, yes. I mean, I never forget where I was. I always remember. I go to the places where I used to work. There are bus boys that are still there, and I go and hug them, and I see them, and they recognize me, and I know exactly where I was, and that's why I'm very grateful every day where I am right now. And yes, to answer your question, I knew that I was going to be where I am right now, and I know where I'm going to be actually from now, 10 years from now. So I have it very clear, and I think when you have it very clear, all is left is just to execute.
Yep. So I know we're going long on time, man, but just a couple last quick questions for you. When you talk about that getting clarity, for a 10-year vision, because so many people, when I talk about the importance of clarity, they're like, man, I have no idea what I really want. How do you get that clarity, especially when we're looking 10 years out?
I met very few people in my life, on my circle, friends, that they knew exactly what they want to do. I mean, I have a cousin that he married the girl that he met in first grade in the school. So he knew he was going to marry her, and they're married. They have 3 beautiful boys. He knew that he was going to be a lawyer since he was 10, and he's an amazing lawyer. And like that, I met very few people. I think that, the way how the world is changed and is evolving, you need to have an idea, and you need to recognize what your set of skills are, right? You need to kind of be realistic on what your skills are, what you're good at. Are you a people's kind of person? Are you smart in mathematics? Are you, whatever it is, you kind of need to recognize what you are good and what you can develop to be really good at. And I think you need to follow that direction. And because the way how the world is, you don't need to, you don't need to be studying business administration just to administrate a company, right? You need to have a general idea of how that works. But then look at me. I mean, I'm doing real estate, and I am administrating a company, a real estate company. But that wasn't really what I was thinking when I started selling homes. So I think you just need to find what your skill is. You need to develop that skill. Or there's something that you like and you want to develop it, and you don't really have it. Doesn't mean you cannot do it. I mean, there was a lot of things that I didn't think I could do, and I just practiced and I read and I learned about it and I went to classes, and now I know how to do them. And then I think you need to be, again, open to what the universe is going to present to you. Because if you're not open, you're not going to be able to see the opportunities, right? If you prepare yourself, if you read, if you learn, if you are evolving constantly, you're self-improving, those opportunities will come in your way and you'll be able to recognize and take it.
Yeah, love it, man. So, well, on the podcast here, I mean, we have, just over 100,000 realtors that are listening to the show every single month, right? So we got a lot of realtors watching this right now, and that will be watching this at some point. If somebody wants to reach out to you, I know that you do a lot of speaking and you guys host a lot of events out there, or maybe if somebody in the area that wants to talk to you about joining the agency, what's the best place, Santiago, for people to learn more about you, to learn where your events are, and to again, get in touch with you?
Due to my schedule, it's becoming harder and harder for me to meet all these people. I mean, I get emails like 8 to 10 emails a week from people they want to meet, sit down and talk. And as much as I want to help them, I mean, it's physically impossible to want to meet with each of those people in person. So meeting in person is going to be extremely difficult. But if you want to be updated on when I'm speaking, or when I'm doing a seminar, or when I'm doing something where you can go there, and, I can talk to 200, 300 people at the same time, and they all get what they need without having to see them one-on-one. As much as I know that it's cool to sit one-on-one. I mean, I wish I could sit one-on-one with Tony Robbins right now, but, it will cost me $1 million, or I don't even think he's taking people. So, that's why I go to his seminars, because I get to see him, I get to learn, I get to listen and whatever. So I'm not saying that I'm at that level. I'm not saying that I'm him or whatever, but, two things. I mean, I have a Instagram account that they can follow. It's called Santiago Arana Inspires. I have another one that is called Santiago Arana 22. One is more personal. The other one is more into, self-motivation and inspiring and looking at good stuff out there. And that's what I will post every time I have a seminar, when it's going to happen, so people can just join. And they're normally for free. So if you live in LA area and you're nearby, and you want to go and get a little bit more of this crazy Bolivian talking, and then you'll be there. I'll go to Santiago Arana Inspires in Instagram, and you'll see when the event's going to be. Actually, the next one I'm going to be doing is on, when is it, Lauren? 21st. Yeah, on Friday the 21st at the Skirball Center at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Awesome. And those watching, listen, we'll make it really easy on you. We'll have the link right below so you can connect with Santiago, whether you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, or you're watching this on YouTube or the website, it'll be right below. So, I created this podcast, because, I mean, we're in a space where there's just so much information, and there's some good information, but man, there's a lot of bad information. And I wanted to create a space where we go out there and interview the doers, guys like yourself, that there's no theory, you're in the trenches. This is all true, real strategy, so we could deliver the right information out there. So those that are watching and listening right now are here because they want to go out there and create an amazing, epic life for themselves and their family. Do you have any last words of advice or inspiration that you'd like to leave them with so they can do exactly that?
Yes, for sure. One of the most important things is know what you want, have faith that can happen, and stick to it. Work hard. A lot of action, massive amount of action. Don't give up. Stay to your dream. Stick to it, and never stop growing. Never stop learning. Never stop growing. And share with other people. Like again, Tony says, the secret of living is giving. Share your wealth, share your knowledge, share your time, share whatever you can share. Give back, and the universe will provide and bring tenfolds.
Yep, such powerful words. And those watching, listen, I know we enter a podcast with this, you guys, but information without implementation is really just the start of delusion. Information is no longer power. It's taking that information and taking massive action on it. Santiago just shared so many amazing pieces of advice. Take something that you learned today and start taking action on it so you can go out there, or as Santiago said, massive action, so you can go out there and create that life that you know you want and deserve. And Santiago, man, I know how busy you are. This has been a massive, massive honor to have you on the show. Taking time out of your busy day, man, truly means a lot.
Thank you so much, man. I feel very happy and blessed that you invite me in your show. Thank you again. I hope someone will find anything that I said helpful, and let's stay in touch.
All right, sounds great. Thank you again. And all right, you guys, we will see you next time. Thanks for watching and listening.